Good news, everyone. I'm officially declaring it the first day of summer. I know it's not officially, 21st, I think, is actually the first day, but I'm wearing my summer shirt. I'm heading on vacation next week. In my mind and everyone else's mind, summer starts today. So as a celebration, we got a jam-packed show, Daily Betslip. Bad beat of the day, as always. We're going to give out our best bets for tonight. Community picks. We're going to talk Celtics-Warriors Game 5.
Game 5.
And we are also going to talk a little U.S. Open action as well. We're going to talk about some players to stay away from, to not bet on, or you can even fade them. And then, of course, because it's Monday at 6 p.m., I'll be going live for Green on the Greens with Cody Williams to give out our picks for the U.S. Open. But really quick, one last note about the U.S. Open before we dive into bad beat of the night and then to some picks. If you hadn't seen it already, we are giving away a $1,000 Visa gift card for the U.S. Open. All you got to do is check out the pinned tweet on the BetSided Twitter account, retweet it, reply with your pick to win the U.S. Open with the hashtag contest entry, and make sure that you're following BetSided. And if your golfer wins, then you will win a $1,000 gift card. If more than one person picks the winner, then we will do a draw out of everyone who did pick the winner. So unfortunately, if 100 people pick Rory McIlroy and he wins, we will not be giving out $100,000 in Visa gift cards. Unfortunately, budget for that quite wasn't approved. So it is myself. It is Peter Dewey. Let's get into the show. Peter, what's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing great. You declaring it the first day of summer, I'm a big fan of that because summer means baseball season, and my Yankees are looking good. But I'm going to wait on the summer thing. I need the NBA Finals to end. They put it perfectly. It ends on June 19th. The day the NBA Finals ends, you get 1 day. Summer starts on the 21st, and then we're good. It's a rumor season, and we got baseball season. So I'll be right behind you on declaring summer.
Sounds like you think that series is going 7.
Yes, I do think it's going 7. My original pick was Celtics in 7, so I think
more on that in a little bit. And of course, if you're watching this on Twitter, you can head over to YouTube, watch it there. If you have any picks for tonight or any comments or questions, you can toss them in the live chat, and we'll get to those throughout the show as well. But let's start as always with bad beat of the night. Peter, if you can handle this one, because I think it's college baseball.
Yes, I got you.
As my cat jumps into the screen, she's pumped for the start of summer too. So special appearance by Daisy this show, I suppose.
Yeah, little college baseball last night. UConn against Stanford, game 2 of their super regional. They're playing game 3 right now, actually. But the over-under in that game was 10.5, and there were 10 runs scored in the first 2 innings, Iain. And after that, nobody else scored. So if you had the over, you were sitting there, got to 8-2, and you're like, hey, this is an easy one right here. And just nothing. And that was after game 1 finished 13-12. So when you saw the 10 runs in the first 2 innings, you were probably expecting plenty more. Didn't happen. So anybody on the over, that's a tough one to stomach.
That's brutal. Is it 9 innings in college baseball, or is it shorter game? It's full 9 innings. For some reason, I thought it was like 7. I don't know why I thought that. Cody Wells chimes in the chat. He says, heat index is 105 here. It's summer, Pete.
Oh, man. That's some hot stuff. It's not too bad by me. In Stanford, it's like high 70s, low 80s. Like, played a nice, comfortable round of golf on Saturday. So until you get into the time where it's like you're going outside and it's like, oh my God, dude, I'm like sweating immediately. That's when I'll know it's summer. Right now, I don't know yet.
Can you translate 105 Fahrenheit to Celsius for me, please?
Oh God. You're going to make me pull up the Fahrenheit.
I just thought you'd be able to know that off the top of your head.
I don't think I've ever
105 means nothing to me.
I got you. It's 40.55.
Oh, my God. That might be the hottest day ever. That would be a record hot day in Nova Scotia. So Cody Wells, he has a pool, though, so he's able to stay cool. So shout out Cody Wells.
He's going to invite us for a little bet-sided outing at Cody's pool? That's what I'm hearing here.
Yeah, seriously. I'm going back to Canada at the end of this week. I'm excited to not be melting because I melt every single day in New York. I'm sweating constantly when I'm outside. It's a mess. Let's get into some best bets for today. We'll start, as always, with the community picks. And speaking of Cody Wells, I think he might have the first community bet of the day. Possibly. Yes, he does. Cody Wells chimes in Cole Calhoun over 0.5 home run. So basically for him to hit a home run, plus 380. Calhoun is 7 for 10 with 3 home runs against Javier.
Oh, Christian Javier, yeah. Yep.
Any thoughts on that, Peter?
Listen, I might have to tail Cody on this one because he gave us a home run pick when Reed and I were on the show, and Francisco Lindor hit the home run while we were on the show. I think he had another one where he took Votto, and Votto ended up going yard. So he's been all over these. He's finding these guys that hit these starting pitchers really well. And Cole Calhoun, he had a crazy month of May, so I don't mind that one at all.
Now, speaking of home run props, obviously, if you don't know, we do a daily dinger where each of the BetSided editors give out a player that we like to hit a home run that night. How many have you hit so far, and who do you have tonight?
I think I've hit 6, I want to say.
I think I've only hit 4 or 5. My picks have been rough. I take long shots, though. I don't like taking the big-name guys.
Yeah, I think I have 6. It's either 6 or 7, but I took Acuna tonight against the Nationals. They're facing Josiah Gray. He's allowed 14 home runs this year, so he gives up a ton of home runs. And Acuna's been hot. He's hit a home run in 3 of his last 6 games. So I'm taking him. I brought him up when we were on the show about a sneaky MVP bet. They're 21-11 now since he's been back in the lineup. So I like Ron Bombs tonight.
Do you have our daily dinger article in front of you right now?
Let me pull it up real quick.
It's one of the first things I do in the morning, and I'm half asleep when I do it, so I already forget who I picked for my daily dinner today.
So you took today.
Oh, Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
There we go. I like it. All right. Let's bring up the next community pick for tonight. Sean Mitchelson. He is going Marlins Phillies under 0.5 runs in the first inning, so the NRFI minus 122. Hitters are combined 173 average first time around against Alcantara and Nola. I love that stat. I love it when people add in a little reason for their pick when they send in their picks. That's awesome. I agree with that pick. I like that pick. I have a pick on that game that I'll get to here in a few moments. I've stopped betting NRFIs and YRFIs. I know they're exciting because it's, pretty quick. It's like 10 minutes for the whole bet, if that. Yeah. I just like big sample size. I like to stretch out my sample size as much as possible. I just think it's just too much of a roll of the dice. Anything can happen in one inning. So I experimented with them a bit. I didn't do well. I then stopped betting them.
I don't hate that move. I like this pick, though. Alcantara has been nasty this year. I feel like he's a sneaky Cy Young guy, too, in the NL. Yes. The Phillies have been red hot, though, right? They've won 9 of 10. They had a 10-game winning streak till they lost last night. So, yeah. But still, like first inning, I like this play. 2 good pitchers.
Yeah. All right, let's bring up the third community pick for tonight. Champ _Burns. Celtics money line. Their playoff record coming off a loss is solid. We won't comment on this one too much because this is obviously the game of the night. So we're going to be touching on this game quite a bit. You have a few picks for it. But I'm going to guess that you kind of like this bet because you've been on the Celtics all series.
It's a good bet in terms of he's right. They're 7-0 off a loss. So I like that a lot.
Do you put much stock into that, trends like that?
So this is actually funny. I had one of our community members reach out to me on Twitter today. Let me get the name. It was Michael. I do not know how to say his last name, so I'm going to say it's Michael M. And he asked me, trends wise, like there's a crazy Tony Brothers trend where the Celtics are like 4-15 against the spread when Tony Brothers is the ref in the playoffs over the last like 5-6 years. And like I put more stock into like the team's current form playing, especially in these playoff series, like, and their statistical numbers. The trends I think matter a little bit. Like this Boston team, because this trend has lasted the whole playoffs, like it has a little bit more legs for me. But like referee trends and stuff like that, try to stay away from those in the playoffs. I get that they exist, but at the same time, like I'm not going to make a bet purely on who's reffing the game. Like there's just no way I'm doing that. So that's probably the last thing I would consider if I'm on the fence and it's like, oh, well, then there's this. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll lean me in a different way. But it's a whole package. Like I know you're the same way. Like you got to look at a bunch of different stuff. You can't just rely strictly on the trends. But this one's been so solid all playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not a big trends guy personally. I just feel like sometimes, not all the time, obviously with this one, it's all in the playoffs. There is something to be said for the fact that the Celtics are good on the road. But also I think it's just a little bit of the hot hand fallacy or gambler's fallacy where just because it's happened a ton of times in the past doesn't mean it's more likely to happen in the future. But I think there is a little bit of merit to it. Let's bring up the fourth and final community pick for today. Fade to Glory. at Fade Me to Glory. He's been pretty good with these community picks, so he might need to change his name to Tail Me to Glory. Diamondbacks team total over 4.5. Diamondbacks are, of course, taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Our producer, Joanne, will, of course, love this pick. Fading Mike Minor, who has an 8.64 ERA. I think he's only had 2 starts, though, but still, even through 2 starts, an 8.64 ERA. Not good.
Yeah, I'm fading Mike Minor as well tonight, so I like that play a lot.
I trashed the Diamondbacks nonstop like the first month of the season, and I feel like their offense has just been on fire since I started trashing them. I'm just looking where they're still only 22nd in season long OPS. But I remember like when I was trashing them at the very start of the year, they were like sub 200 batting average. June, they're still around. So, I mean, below average offensive team for the season as of late. But when they're taking on a guy with a 8-something ERA, it's going to help your numbers out a little bit. So I will not be tailing that bet personally, but I won't fade it either. I wish you best of luck. Fade me to glory. Good luck with it.
I like it.
All right. Sweet. Let's get into our best bets for tonight. Really quick, Cody Wells chimes in. Joe Summers had a hilarious line about Minor. I don't remember what it is.
I did see that. I saw that. I read his story today. I'm pulling it up 1 second. It was very funny.
Was it a Fort Minor reference?
Because that's said the guy is a train wreck with all due respect to wreck trains. Great line by Joe Summers right there.
Whenever I hear Mike Minor, I think of Fort Minor. Do you remember them?
Fort Minor. What was Fort
It's like
Minor?
Their song was like 100% reasons to remember the name or something.
Oh,
like
yes.
Luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will.
Yes. Great song.
Yeah, great fantastic song. So whenever I see Mike Minor's name, I just think of Fort Minor. I'm pretty sure that's who did that song. Okay, let's get into our best bets. I got 3 MLB. You have 1 MLB and 2 NBA. So let's knock the MLB ones out first, and then we'll get into some NBA. I will start first. I got a couple underdogs. I did not make a separate video for Underdog Monday Moneyline Pick of the Day, so I got 2. So pick which one you want to choose as my Monday Moneyline Underdog. The first one is going to be the Marlins. Plus 122 against the Phillies. I think these odds have actually come down a little bit, but we've touched on this game already. Sandy Alcantara, he's a 1.61 ERA. I mean, if you're going to give me a pitcher at plus money who has those kinds of numbers, I mean, it's almost an auto bet for me. And I've been saying this about the Marlins the past couple of weeks as well, is that I think we're going to see some positive regression from this team. They're 27th in close game win percentage, so they're just losing a lot of close games. They're a better team than their record indicates. And now they take on Aaron Nola, who is a right-handed pitcher, and the Marlins. Listen to this. 2nd batting average, 4th in OPS against righties. Dead last in both of those stats against lefties. Ooh. So literally complete opposite offenses when they're taking on right-handed and left-handed pitchers. Fade the Marlins when they're taking on lefties, but go ahead and bet on them, especially at plus money, especially with Alcantara pitching when they're taking on right-handed pitchers. So I'll take Marlins plus 122 for my first MLB bet of the day. I'll give it my second underdog next, and then we'll go to you, Peter, and then I'll finish off with a bet on a total I have. My second underdog, I'm going a first 5 bet, which I haven't dabbled on a ton this year, which I've loved these bets in the past. Haven't done a ton this year, but this for tonight, I'm going Nationals first 5 innings against the Braves at plus 115 for this one. Braves, this is kind of the opposite of the Marlins. Much better against lefties now, but now they face righty Josiah Gray, who is trending in the right direction. He's only allowed 2 combined runs in his last 16 innings pitched combined. And as good as the Braves offense has been, and that's, I think, probably why they're being favored in this, Nationals have also been top 10 in both batting average and OPS this month. I'm only going to go first 5 innings because the Nationals bullpen stinks. So that's why you see a pretty significant difference between full game odds and first 5, because I just simply don't trust the Nationals bullpen, especially because the Braves bullpen is one of the best in the majors. So just going to go first 5 for me on the Nationals plus 115 against the Braves. So there's a couple underdogs for you. And I believe you have a strikeout prop, I believe.
Yeah, I do have a strikeout prop. But real quick to touch on your Marlins pick, I love that play. I think the Marlins, I think they're 7-3 in their last 10. They've had a positive run differential the whole year, even when they went into like a little bit of a skid. Like that's a sign of like a team that's just, they're just underachieving right now. Like you're going to be hard pressed to find a team 5-6 games below 500 with a positive run differential, and theirs is like plus 23. Like it's like significantly positive. So yeah, I like them a lot. And the Phillies kind of seem due for some regression after that 10-game winning streak. So that one I might tail you on that one. For my prop,
one final point about that. Cody Wells did chime in again as well. Alcantara's last start, he went 9 shutout innings and got a no decision. So yeah, he hasn't been getting a ton of help, but I think that's gonna go in the right direction, especially when they take on righties. But sorry, go ahead with your MLB bet for tonight.
Yeah, so I talked about it earlier. I'm fading Mike Minor tonight. I'm taking his under strikeouts, under 4.5 at plus 110. You look at his first 2 starts, he only lasted 8 1/3 innings, gave up in those 8 1/3 innings, 8 runs on 9 hits and 5 home runs. Like he's getting absolutely crushed. He's facing the Diamondbacks again, who he only lasted 4 1/3, gave up 3 runs against them last time. And he's only had 8 strikeouts over these 2 starts. He finished with 4 in both games. So obviously, like you're going to be pushing up against this prop. But the thing for me, even though the Diamondbacks aren't one of the best teams at avoiding the punch out, so I just don't know if Mike Minor lasts long enough into this game. And that's kind of sometimes with these strikeout props, like you just need the opportunity. If he gets knocked around again, like I can't see the Reds just letting him lose them another game. I feel like they'll probably have a decently short hook with him. They did the first 2 starts. So if he only goes 4 innings, I think you're getting some value here on the under.
Fort Minor. 15% luck, 20% skill.
I bet you Mike Minor wishes he had a 15% luck going into this start tonight, because I don't know if he's got any luck.
All right, I got one more Major League Baseball pick for tonight. It's actually on a total. I'm going to go over 8.5 runs between the Twins and the Mariners tonight. Twins bats have been hot, 5th in OPS in June. Mariners a little bit of an underrated offense as well, 10th in OPS this month. Also, Twins 5th in OPS against righties. Mariners 12th. This is a battle between 2 right-handed pitchers, and actually, I believe it is a battle. How about that? Little Chris Archer against Chris Flexen tonight. How about that? The Chris Bowl. I'm going to fade them both and take the over, though. Like I said, also neither bullpen has been great. So if the Chris's do survive, Twins are 17th in bullpen ERA this season. Mariners are 21st. So hot offenses, pretty average pitchers, below average bullpens. It's the late game tonight. Starts at 10:10 p.m. Eastern. Sit back, crack a cold one, put on your summer beach T-shirt like I'm wearing right now, and root for some runs. How about that?
What are you watching tonight late night? You watching Twins Mariners or Game 5 of the NBA Finals?
Twins Mariners.
Oh my God.
Just complete side note. Here's my issue with basketball. It's a little less in college basketball, and maybe it's because the games are shorter, but it's just like it's such a slow burn to watch NBA, like because there's a basket almost every possession. So like there's just no, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fun.
Like in hockey, when a goal is scored, or in football a touchdown is scored, like it's a big deal. Like scoring a basket isn't a big deal. There's 100 of them in a game. 200 of them in a game.
Steph Curry in this series has been so fun to watch. Like the shots he's hitting, man. Oh my God. You would rather watch college basketball and watch them go 8 minutes without a bucket?
Yeah, I find that hilarious.
Oh, I
love it when college basketball teams don't score for like 8 minutes. I laugh. It's hilarious.
It's so bad to watch, though.
I don't know. I barely played basketball growing up, so I think maybe part of it is just I don't understand the game as much as other sports. So I think that has something to do with it.
That's fair. I will agree with you though, because I watched some NHL. I've watched a good amount of NHL playoffs compared to like normal, and it is fun because you're like anticipating the goal the whole time.
Right.
But I guess just basketball, like it's the constant like every possession. I feel like every possession I'm on edge because I'm like, can they get a stop here? Like it's the opposite.
That's fair. I do promise whenever a team has a chance to win the NBA Finals, so I guess Game 6, I will watch the whole thing. If it goes to Game 7, I'll watch the whole thing.
Okay, fair enough. I'm holding you to that. That's fair.
And if it is close down the stretch, I'll turn it on. I think it was the 4th quarter of the last game or Game 3 I watched. I forget which one, but if it's close near the end, I'll tune in. But also, these games haven't really been that close.
Yeah, Game 4 was probably the closest game. They've been close up until like the latter stages, and then somebody's kind of pulled away.
All right, speaking of NBA, you got 2 picks. I'm going to assume I know which one of them is because you have it written over your right shoulder right now. So go ahead, give me 2 of your NBA picks, and then, of course, you still have your best bet for tonight later on when we get to the game of the night portion.
Yeah, so I'll start with my bet on the game. Celtics plus 3.5. The line's actually moved to plus 4 at WinBet, so can get it even at an even better number. I like it either way, obviously. And the thing with this is it was mentioned before in our Twitter community picks, like the Celtics are 7-0, straight up 7-0 against the spread after a loss in these playoffs. And like, I don't want to read strictly into the trend, but like they know how to bounce back. They've made really good adjustments. And I've been talking about it all playoffs with the Celtics. Their biggest problem is they've beaten themselves with turnovers. And so I think tonight is, the perfect storm. It's after a loss, come back. What do we got to fix? We got to not turn the ball over as much. And you look at that game 4 win, like you talk about it being close. The Celtics were winning that game with 6 minutes to go. Steve Kerr took out Draymond Green. Warriors go on a little bit of a run, puts Draymond back in for defense at the end of the game. And obviously, Steph Curry's been going nuclear. Like, he's averaging 34.3 points per game in this series. He had 43 points in game 4. If he just has a little bit of a down game, I don't know where the Warriors get offense from. I don't think he's going to have a down game, but I think Boston can at least keep this close, keep it within a possession. I know some of these other games earlier in the series, we watched them get out of hand, as we just alluded to. But the difference is now in game 5, like games 1 and 2, when it started to get out of hand, both coaches kind of like, okay, I'm going to rest my guys. Let's not be stupid. We're down 15 with 4 minutes to go. Let's just call off the dogs at this point. I don't think that happens tonight. This is too important of a game. Obviously, whoever wins is going to have 2 chances to win the finals. So I think you're going to see maybe some of these stars stay out there a little bit longer where they have a chance to cut it down. I think a close game favors Boston just because they have more shot-making ability outside of one guy. The Warriors, it's really just Steph creating his own shot. So I like the Celtics here at plus 3.5. I've been betting on them all series. I think they're the better team overall. I just think Steph Curry's the best player.
Speaking of Steph Curry.
Speaking of which, the sign behind me, Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. You can feel free to debate me on that anywhere you want. Hit me up on Twitter. I will gladly take the argument. He is by far the greatest point guard of all time. He gets his finals MVP. It's not even close. Taking him to go over 30.5 points tonight. Minus 120. There is no other bet to make on Steph in this series. He's gone over this 3 out of the 4 games. The one game he missed, he had 29 points in game 2. He did not play a minute in the 4th quarter because the Warriors went on that massive run in the 3rd and kind of just put the game away. So Steph, you can't, in my opinion, you can't take an under on him in this series with how he's playing. He's shooting 50% from the field, 49% from 3. What's more impressive about the 49% from 3 is he's taking almost 13 threes a game. It's just absolutely nuts for anybody to be putting up those kind of numbers on that many shots from beyond the arc. Also with Steph in this series, like he's taken 21 plus shots in every single game. He's averaging 23.5. So the volume is going to be there. They need him to score. Boston has basically decided they're not going to double team him off of pick and rolls because it's going to leave other guys open to cut to the rim. I don't necessarily agree with that strategy. I'd rather have the roll guys beat me, but Boston's just been kind of trying to show on screens and force Steph to kind of put the ball on the floor, and he's still been finding ways to make really tough jump shots. He's shooting better on contested three-pointers than wide-open three-pointers in this series. When he's this hot, you cannot fade him. I didn't care what this number was at. I was taking the over tonight, so you can tell me on it if you want. If you think he's going to stink tonight, go ahead, but I'm taking the over.
I had to double check to make sure I wasn't wrong, but Magic Johnson was a point guard, right?
Yeah, that's right. Steph Curry is better than Magic Johnson. 100%. 100%.
I don't know about that. Let's bring up a recap graphic of our picks. We still both have one more best bet for the NBA game tonight, but this is what we have so far. I got 3 plays in Major League Baseball. Marlins plus 122. Nationals in the first 5 innings plus 115. Over 8.5 between the Twins and the Mariners. And then you got under 4.5 strikeouts for Mike Minor, a.k.a. Fort Minor. Celtics plus 3.5 tonight against the Warriors. And then over 30.5 points for Steph Curry. And then, like I said, we got a couple of player props for the game that we like quite a bit that we're going to get to later on in the show. But next up, let's talk a little U.S. Open action. I am going to be going live right after this at 6 p.m. Eastern with Cody Williams to give out my best bets. But let's talk about some golfers to avoid. First of all, the question for you, Peter, because this man did not make my list. Are you going to be betting on your guy, Jordan Spieth?
I might be. I think I'm going to bet on our close friend of the program, close personal friend, Will Zalatoris. I'm thinking is going to be the guy I go with because it seems like every major he's in contention. I just want to be able to root for somebody on Sunday. Spieth, I don't know, man. He's let me down so many times. I'm kind of just like, I gotta kick the habit, but we'll see. I'm more intrigued. I was very intrigued for who you wanted to fade in this one because when you wrote up your picks today at BetSided, we were very similar in who we were thinking. The only one I didn't see that I thought you were going to put in there was Sam Burns. That's who I also like this week. But I'm intrigued on who these guys you don't like and why you don't like them. So if you want to kick it off with your first one.
Side note, I did bet on Sam Burns just because of his number, but his driving numbers and off the tee numbers concern me a little bit, but I think he deserves a little bit more respect than 30-1. So I did place a wager, but I'm not kind of giving it as a pick, if that makes any sense.
That's fair.
All right, I've got 3 names that I'm going to recommend guys to either not bet on or to fade if you can do it in matchup bets that you like. My first one is going to be a surprising one. The second one might not be a surprising. First one, Cameron Smith. He's actually 15-1. I put in the notes 12-1. That was a mistake on my part. He's actually 15-1 this week. And I think he's going to be a popular pick by a lot of people, but the same thing that you always say about the U.S. Open at USGA run events is that you have to be good off the tee. I wrote an article, or I put it in one of my articles earlier today. See if I can find the stat here really quick. I tweeted it out. Of the last 9 U.S. Open winners, the average ranking in strokes gained off the tee heading into the event is 15.4. And if you eliminate Brooks Koepka's 2 wins, because he ranked 32nd, 49th, so they're kind of outliers. So if you go the last 7 of the last 9, if you take out Brooks Koepka, the average ranking in strokes gained off the tee is 6th. So, like, if you want to look at one stat, you have to be good off the tee this week. And Cameron Smith is not good off the tee. That has been his biggest weakness all season. He's not long off the tee. He's not accurate off the tee. You can get away with it at these events if either you're very long, like Bryson DeChambeau when he won at Winged Foot. He wasn't accurate, but he was just so long it didn't matter. Or on shorter courses like Webb Simpson when he won, not necessarily long, but a shorter U.S. Open course, or even Gary Woodland, even though he was long, when they played at Pebble Beach, you can kind of get away with it if you're super accurate. Cam Smith isn't either. He ranks 143rd in strokes gained off the tee, 102nd in driving distance, 151st in driving accuracy. So at most events, at normal events, he can make up for that with obviously very good approach play, very good short game. It's just too big of a hill to overclimb at U.S. Open. So that actually reflects in his results at the U.S. Open. In his last 4 starts at U.S. Opens, he's gone missed the cut, T72, T38, missed the cut. So his style of play just does not fit a U.S. Open course. So I would recommend not betting on Cam Smith.
So then the second guy I saw you had an interesting one because you mentioned him. He's won it twice, Brooks Koepka. Why not this week? Do you think he's going to come and make it the 3rd time?
I am begging people to stop betting on Brooks Koepka at major tournaments. It makes no sense. It's like people still expect like the 2017, 2018 Brooks Koepka when he does one every major. This is not him anymore, and we just need to grow to accept that fact. He's not a good golfer. He hasn't shown up at major tournaments. He missed the cut of the Masters this year. He finished T55 at the PGA Championship. I was shouting from the rooftops at both those majors, do not bet on Brooks Koepka, and people still bet on Brooks Koepka. We are now back to the U.S. Open, and I'm once again seeing people say, oh, but look at that price. You got to bet on Brooks Koepka at that price. No, you don't. You don't. He stinks now. He hasn't shown any flashes of greatness in the past year. It's been, last year's Waste Management was the last time that he won a tournament. Like, let's stop betting on Brooks Koepka. Like, just because he went on that hot run like 4 years ago doesn't mean he's still going to win majors. And he's injured.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention. The injured part, like, it feels like he's been hurt all the time over the last couple of years. But it's just like, I mean, you don't know what guy you're going to get if he's even going to be healthy enough to win. We had the first live event this weekend. You got a live guy on here. He didn't play in it, correct? Bryson DeChambeau, he did not play in it.
Bryson DeChambeau did not.
He did not. Okay, but you're fading him here in this spot. Tell me why.
That wasn't the other guy, but I would also fade Bryson DeChambeau. But the other guy is a live guy,
That's
Dustin
my
Johnson.
bad. That's my bad. It was the wrong guy. It was Dustin Johnson.
Both live guys,
I
though, and
looked at the wrong
this guy
notes.
did compete this past week. Dustin Johnson. I would say also stay away from Bryson DeChambeau, but his odds are so long. I don't think anyone's really expecting him to play well this week. Dustin Johnson at WinBet still all the way up at 25-1. Since finishing T12 of the Masters, he's missed the cut of the RBC Heritage, finished T59 at the Byron Nelson, missed the cut of the PGA Championship, and then at that first live golf event last week, he finished 8th. And he finished 8th behind golfers by the name of Henny Duplessis, Peter Uihlein, Oliver Becker, and Adrian Otegui.
So guys we've never heard of before.
I was just going to say, have you heard of any of those names?
No, never.
In my defense, I have heard of Peter Uihlein, but he's not like he's a good name, not like he's a good golfer. So like Dustin Johnson is not playing good golf whatsoever. And obviously I think the live thing is going to be a distraction for those guys. They're already getting roasted by the media. The PGA Tour guys are already throwing them shade. It's going to be a weird weekend for live guys, so I'd recommend staying away from them in general. And Dustin Johnson does not deserve to be 25-1 this week. So 3 golfers I'm recommending staying away from: Cameron Smith, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. Fade them if you want, but at the very least, just don't waste your money betting on these guys.
Do you think like live guys, the ones who get like paired up with tour guys, do you think there's any incentive in taking like the tour guys in a matchup bet potentially if they get paired together just because like they want to show them up? Like Rory's comments after he won were kind of crazy, dude. It was wild.
Yeah, possibly. And I saw a tweet, and there's no video. There was a picture taken. So, I mean, we're taking the guy's word for it who saw it. But apparently, Billy Horschel was on the tee next to Kevin Na, and then Jordan Smith came up, shook Billy Horschel's hand, congratulated him on the win at the Memorial last week. And then Kevin Na like nodded his head and said hi to Spieth, and Spieth just completely ignored him like he wasn't there and just kept walking. So these tour guys I think feel betrayed by these live golfers and are not happy with them, and we'll see how it shakes out.
I might have to bet on Jordan Spieth just off of that right there. He's got some swagger coming into this thing, man. Oh, I like it.
All right, let's dive into the game of the night. Celtics Warriors game 5. It's tied 2-2. In my very, non-NBA fan opinion of this is that everyone, it seems like after each game, is overreacting to the last game. I've heard after each game, it's like, okay, the Celtics are the much better team. Oh, the Warriors, when they're on fire, can't be beat. Oh, the Celtics, when they're playing at 100%, they can't be beat. Oh, Steph Curry's just going to lead them to it's like, maybe these are just 2 really good, evenly matched teams, and they're just going to go game 7, and then just whoever plays better that night wins the series.
It's a problem of having these 2 days in between games where everybody's just like, we got to figure out something to talk about. I think that's part of it. But like, I will say, I have seen a lot of that too. I'm not wavering. I think Boston's the better team. Like put it in a perfect, like Steph Curry is the best player in this series, and it's really not even close. But Boston as a team is better. Like the Warriors have needed Steph to go nuclear every night to be 2-2 right now. Celtics have gotten a couple bad Jason Tatum games. They got a bad Jaylen Brown game in game 2. They had a horrible Al Horford and Marcus Smart game in game 2. Smart wasn't good again in game 4. So like the Celtics have kind of just been like, whatever. Like the Warriors, it just seems like they go as Steph goes. Like they're winning the Steph minutes, and when he's out of the game, it's like, can we please just hold on? So that's why I'm on the Celtics. I just think like if Boston's role guys don't absolutely stink up the joint, they're just they have like the better 8 to 9 man rotation. They really only go 8 deep, honestly. But Robert Williams being banged up could hurt them a little bit. But at the same time, the Warriors, they haven't adjusted. They just are going even smaller. But credit to Steve Kerr. I will give Steve Kerr credit because I bashed him for his rotations. Him taking out Draymond in the 4th quarter in game 4 that allowed them to go on the run because he put more offense in the game. I didn't think he was going to do it because they've just rode Draymond and Clay this entire playoff run. He finally did it, and it finally worked. So I'm intrigued to see if they do that tonight, if they play a little bit more Otto Porter instead of Draymond Green.
Interesting. So let's just dive right into our best bets. I'll go first here, and then I'll get your thoughts on the pick, and then we'll dive into your best bet. So I'm going to go player prop. I'm going to go under 19.5 points for Klay Thompson. One of the reasons why I am doing this is because one of my favorite betting strategies is to fade the public narrative. And me, as with an outside perspective, I just keep seeing people on Twitter being like, "Oh, here comes the Clay game. Oh, here comes the Clay game. Here comes the Clay game," and it's just not happening. And his total is still all the way up to 19.5. He's only surpassed this mark 7 times in 20 playoff games this postseason. He's only surpassed this amount twice in the last 9 games. Like I said, people just keep expecting him to go off. I don't think he's going to, especially against the Celtics defense. I'll take a shot on his under 19.5 points tonight.
Yeah, I like that. I think the Clay game we got, honestly, for the early in the series was game 3 when he had 25. He kept them in the game with some really big shots, but he just hasn't been efficient. He's taking a lot of shots, which concerns me a little bit for this prop. Like, he's taken 17 plus, I think, in 3 of the 4 games in this series. So that's a little bit concerning because the thing with the Warriors, like, they're going to give Clay the ball and he's going to get his shots regardless, which is going to make taking any under on him. Like, you're going to be stressed out because you're going to be like, he's taking a shot every 3 trips down the floor. But at the same time, he hasn't been efficient. Like you said, he's only hit it 7 times in 20 games. And if anything, if we're going to see a Clay game, I mean, game 6 Clay. So that's his moniker. So if we're going to see it, it's going to be in game 6. It's not going to be in game 5. So yeah, I like that play for sure.
All right, let's give me your best bet for tonight.
Yeah, so I mentioned Draymond Green a little bit in the start there. I'm taking his under on PRA, points, rebounds, assists for the second straight game. It's at 21.5. It was at 20.5 in game 4. He finished with 19. Yeah, he finished with 19. I took the under there. Taking the under again, like, Draymond Green has more fouls. He has 18 fouls in this series than points. He scored 17 points. So when you're taking a points, rebounds, assist bet, I know Draymond Green, he can fill up the stat sheet at times. Obviously, he had 9 rebounds, 8 assists in the last game. But he's also had multiple games where he's finished, under 5 boards and under 5 assists. And then he's also not scoring. He hasn't hit this number in the entire series. The Celtics have basically, I talked about a little bit earlier, how they haven't doubled Steph off of high screen and roll. And the reasoning behind that, which, like, I get but I don't get, is so Draymond Green doesn't get the ball in the open floor and kind of be able to create for other people in the middle of the floor. I get that to an extent because, like, you're talking, he's going to be able to dump it off for layups or maybe kick out for a wide open 3. But at the same time, if I'm the Celtics, I would rather bet on Draymond Green beating me or the Warriors role players beating me than Steph Curry. That's just me personally. Obviously, they're the number 1 defense in the NBA. They have a game plan. They're going to stick with it. But Draymond, the scoring just isn't there. He hasn't been shooting the ball at all the last couple games. He's taken less than 5 shots in all 3 of the last 3 games after taking 12 in game 1. So I think he doesn't want any part of shooting as it is. He kind of knows he's got to take a step back there. And like I said, the Warriors went on a run when he came out of the game late in the game. So if they need some offense tonight, I think Steve Kerr realized he has to go away from Draymond. Unfortunately, that's just the way it's going to be. So I like the under here for him at 21.5. I'm shocked this number went up. I know they're at home, but I'm shocked it went up considering he didn't hit his the prop again in game 4.
Quick question, or another question from Cody Wells here. Can Wiggins repeat the game 4 performance? Any thoughts on Andrew Wiggins?
Listen, Andrew Wiggins has been absolutely fantastic. Jason Tatum in this series, when defended by Andrew Wiggins, is shooting 33% from the field, which is just absolutely insane. Wiggins, I don't know if he gets the rebounds. I believe he had 16 rebounds in game 4. That's just a wild number. I don't think he gets that many boards. But offensively, he's been probably their second most consistent player behind Steph Curry. I don't know if we see the same game, but I think like a 17, 18 point type of game, maybe 6, 7 boards is very doable for him. And the biggest spot they need him is they need him defensively. He's been making life hell for Jason Tatum on the offensive end. So he deserves a lot of credit. That's a guy who's completely, like, transformed the narrative around his career of, like, being an empty stat scorer to he's an extremely valuable, like, 2-way player on a championship team. So shout out to Andrew Wiggins. He deserves it.
Speaking of the Warriors, the poll result is in the community poll, and it is on the Warriors. Minus 3.5, just barely. The Twitter poll actually had Celtics by a little bit, but obviously we taken the YouTube poll results as well, and that makes it go back to the Warriors. So you will not have to play that, obviously, since you were already on the Celtics. That would just mean you'd lose no matter what happens. I will reluctantly play the Warriors because I'd much rather bet on the Celtics, to be honest. But I'll listen to the community. So now I need the Warriors to somehow win and cover, but I also need Klay Thompson to go under 19.5 points. So big game from Steph. Big Steph and Wiggins game.
I'm all for a big Steph game. We got the point. I'm all for like a big Steph game. It just ends up being a close game. Like I'll take the Warriors winning by 3 or less points, and then the Celtics cover. There we go, and Steph goes off.
All right. All right. So that is our show for today. Thank you all for watching. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Daily Betslip will be back tomorrow with Ben and Donovan. I'm sure they'll probably talk some WNBA. Ben keeps crushing it with his WNBA picks. And stay tuned because in 20 minutes time at 6 p.m. Eastern, it'll be myself and Cody Williams to talk U.S. Open for this week's episode of Green on the Greens. Peter, closing thoughts.
Let's go Steph Curry, best point guard of all time. The sign doesn't lie.
And I think we made it through a whole show without mentioning the Yankees, so let's just leave it at that. It disgusts me to see that banner behind you every show. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck with your bets tonight, and we'll see you next time.